Hey guys, a very warm welcome to my channel again. So we have to start from independence and impartiality of Indian judiciary, right? Let's begin then. Meaning and rationale of independence of Indian judiciary has been dealt in the previous section. However, we must also understand how independence is ensured and maintained. The theory of constituent mechanism of independence of judiciary defines judiciary's independence in terms of independence of its judges. Judges ought to function in an unbiased manner, and scholars, as pointed out by Simon Street. Okay, so we have taken up that how judiciary is independent of the interference or of the influence of other organs of the government, and the other organs can't tell judiciary that how you have to give the verdict or how you have to rule or what laws you need to frame on your part. So all these things are not present, all the interference is not present, and for judiciary to be truly independent, it is important that its judges are independent, okay, and those judges don't act or don't give any verdict in a biased way. Okay, they have to be unbiased, means they don't have to treat anybody unequal. Okay, and also Article 15 is independence of judiciary. Okay, one must note that independence of judiciary exists as distinct concepts, former referring to institution. When we say judiciary, that means judiciary is an institution, right? We say there are three organs of government: legislature, executive, and judiciary. So that means judiciary is an institution, latter referring to its constituent actors. Now judges are the ones who form the judiciary because they act and they only give the verdict, right? Judges are the people who in the judiciary give the verdict, right? So the actors or the constituents of judiciary is what? A judge of it. Concept of impartiality of judges can be understood within the broad framework of independence of judiciary. These must be studied in conjunction as they aim at achieving the same goal of maintaining judicial integrity in the democratic process of the country. Judges should be unbiased. They should not be partial against anyone, okay, and independence of judiciary and impartiality of judges must be treated together, must be taken up together, so that the democratic setup of the country can be strengthened. It is important to discuss the constitutional framework for independence of judiciary. Broadly, Indian Constitution contains several provisions to serve these two functions. So, to keep the judiciary independent, there are several provisions which are granted in the Indian Constitution. Provisions relating to institution of judiciary. Constitution recognizes that vast powers enjoyed by courts, especially Supreme Court, cannot be curtailed by the Parliament. Means Parliament cannot overrule or cannot stop the supreme powers that are given to the courts. In civil cases, Parliament has a limited right to change the pecuniary limits for appeal to the Supreme Court. Means, in a civil matters, if there is a, as I said, consumer redressal example I had already given you in previous lecture video. So in that, the pecuniary limit means कितने amount तक का case आप लड़ सकते हैं. Like if there is a dispute, consumer dispute or any other dispute, wherein pecuniary limits are set. So that may be adjusted, that may be increased or decreased by the Parliament, but other interference can't be done. The wide powers of the Supreme Court cannot be taken away back by the Parliament. In turn, Supreme Court has vast appellate jurisdiction and supplementary powers to enable its efficient functioning. Appellate jurisdiction or ordinary jurisdiction, advisory jurisdiction we have already covered. Both Supreme Court and High Courts are courts of record and possess the power to punish for contempt against judiciary or judges. Contempt means disobey. If there is a person or if there is government leader or any political leader who is disobeying the judiciary or who is insulting the judge, then that could be taken as contempt of court and he could punish that person and the court can punish that particular person. Okay. Contempt can be in the way if you are misbehaving with a particular judge, or if you are saying something bad or harsh words for the judiciary as an institution. Contempt can be in the way if you are not following or not obeying a particular verdict which is announced by the court, let it be any court, Supreme Court or High Court, whatever it is. So contempt can be if you are abusing or if you are disobeying it. Okay. Provisions relating to the judges. Once appointed, judges are provided with security of tenure till they reach a retirement age. So once the judges are appointed, they have that security that they will be in that job obviously till they retire. Okay. This age remains 62 for High Court judges and 65 for Supreme Court judges. Okay. So what happens that judges, if he is a High Court judge, then he has to retire when he attains the age of 62 years. And if a person is appointed as Supreme Court judge, then he gets retired when he attains the age of 65 years. Okay, so remember this age gap: 62 for High Court judge and 65 for Supreme Court judge. And they cannot see, judge is a higher post, an advocate is a lower post. So once you become a judge, you can't go back again to practice as an advocate in lower courts or same court. Okay, after retirement, you cannot practice the advocate profession if you have been a judge. Okay, because judge is a higher post than the advocate, right? People get promoted from practicing advocates when there are many years, like 10 or 15 years are passed when a person is practicing in the court as an advocate. Then he may get promoted as a judge of that court. Okay, so advocates get promoted to judges, and if judges are practicing as an advocate after retirement, then it will be a kind of demotion and it will be a kind of disvalue to the rank of a judge. Okay, it will lower the merits of that post of a judge. So judges cannot practice as an advocate after they get retired. A High Court judge can practice in Supreme Court but prevented from practicing in same or other high courts. This ensures that ex-judges practicing at the bar do not influence the decision of bench with whom they may have presumed familiarity. Means अगर कोई सुप्रीम कोर्ट जज है तो वो सुप्रीम कोर्ट में ही एडवोकेट नहीं बनेगा. क्यों? क्योंकि obviously if there is judge, then there would be a fraternity, there would be a relationship with other judges, and so he may influence the decision of the bench, right? Bench is what? A group of judges who are set, who sit for a verdict, right? Judges cannot be easily removed from their office except for proven misbehavior and incapacity. Legal process is kept stringent. Stringent means strict, to ensure security of tenure of judges. Judges cannot be removed except if it is proven that they have misbehaved or that they are incapable for that post of a judge. Then they can be removed, but otherwise it is not easy for them to remove. And legal process is very strict so that their job can be ensured, and they can only be removed from their post if and when they get retired. Third is, salaries and allowance of judges are fixed and not subject to vote of legislature. Judges derive their salaries from Consolidated Fund of India for Supreme Court and Consolidated Fund of State for High Courts. Their emoluments cannot be altered due to their advantage except in the event of financial emergency. Means their salaries are given from the Consolidated Fund of India or Consolidated Fund of State for Supreme Court and High Courts respectively, and their salaries cannot be decided by the legislature. It cannot be altered except when there is a financial emergency. Okay. Even the judicial conduct of judges has been kept immune from examination by other constitutional organs. Means in whichever way the verdict is given, that is kept away from the interference of other organs of the government. Conduct of judges of Supreme Court, High Court cannot be discussed in Parliament except when a motion for removal of a judge is being presented to the President. Now that means when impeachment is being done of a particular judge, then you can obviously discuss that why we are removing him. So at that time you can discuss the conduct of that particular judge, but otherwise it is not a matter of discussion to be done in Parliament. Supreme Court has been authorized to have its own establishment and complete control over it. It is further authorized to make appointments of officers and staff of court and determine their service conditions. That means whoever is working or whoever is practicing one or the other profession under the Supreme Court of India, then it is empowered to take appointments of that person and to define or determine that how will they function, how or what service that person will render in the Supreme Court. That will be decided by the Supreme Court itself, and it can have complete control over itself and on the subordinate courts of the country. So we can conclude that independence of judiciary is a constitutionally conferred protection, right? It is given by the protection is given by the Constitution in 5 ways that are discussed above. Appointments, trainings, retirement and removal of judges. Appointment of judges. Method of appointment of judges at Supreme Court, High Court, District Courts has been enshrined in Constitution of India. According to Article 124, now wherever this article comes, you have to remember it by heart, okay? You have to rote learn all these articles. There is no other way to keep them in mind. You have to rote learn it. 124 of Constitution, every judge of Supreme Court shall be appointed by President after consultation with such of the judges of Supreme Court and of High Court in the states as the President may deem necessary. That means, as I said, or as we have discussed earlier, that the appointments of the staff of Supreme Court is done by the Supreme Court itself. And obviously, President only appoints the judges, the Chief Justice also. So, President appoints a judge, but in consultation with the judges of the Supreme Court or of the High Courts only. उनकी advice से ही वो बंदे को appoint कर सकते हैं. Article provides that in case of appointment of a judge other than Chief Justice of India, Chief Justice must be consulted. Means Chief Justice को ही appoint करने में आप Chief Justice की परमिशन या एडवाइस नहीं लेंगे. अदर दैन द जजेस एक्सेप्ट ऑफ चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया, उनके अलावा अगर कोई जजेस को अपॉइंट करना है, देन द कंसल्टेशन ऑफ चीफ जस्टिस कैन बी टेकन, सेम एज फॉर द स्टेट. Article further provides for qualifications required to become a judge of the Supreme Court. What are the qualifications? So the qualifications include that he must be a citizenship of India, means he must be a citizen of India. He has been at least 5 years a judge of High Court or of 2 or more courts in such section. Means of a particular High Court का भी जज हो सकते हैं, या फिर अगर ट्रांसफ़र हुआ, जैसे पहले अभी 2 साल वो बॉम्बे हाई कोर्ट के थे, फिर अगले 2 साल मद्रास हाई कोर्ट के बने. सो 2 और मोर हाई कोर्ट्स इन सक्सेशन, लेकिन 5 years होना चाहिए इन टोटल, ठीक है. At least 10 years an advocate of a high court or of 2 or more such courts in succession. Is a distinguished jurist in the opinion of a president. Means president thinks that he is expert in the field of law and he is a distinguished jurist. Jurist means a person who knows law. Okay. Similarly, procedure for appointment of judges at High Court has been given in Article 217 of the Constitution. Article 124 is appointment of judges by the consultation of President. Article 217 is appointment of judges of High Court. This article says that every judge of High Court shall be appointed by President after consultation with the Chief Justice of India, Governor of State, and in case of appointment of a judge other than Chief Justice of that High Court, Chief Justice of High Court is सेम एज अबव. अगर चीफ जस्टिस के अलावा किसी को अपॉइंट करना है तो आप चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ दैट हाई कोर्ट की भी कंसल्टेशन ले सकते हैं. अदरवाइज चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया और गवर्नर ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर स्टेट की कंसल्टेशन प्रेसिडेंट को लेनी पड़ेगी. ठीक है, तो क्या है, प्रेसिडेंट को चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया, गवर्नर ऑफ स्टेट और चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ दैट पर्टिकुलर हाई कोर्ट की कंसल्टेशन लेनी है अगर उनको चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ हाई कोर्ट के अलावा किसी जज को अपॉइंट करना है. और अगर चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ हाई कोर्ट को ही अपॉइंट करना है तो प्रेसिडेंट किसकी कंसल्टेशन लेंगे, तब वो चीफ जस्टिस ऑफ इंडिया और गवर्नर ऑफ दैट स्टेट की कंसल्टेशन पे काम करेंगे. ठीक है, और हाई कोर्ट की जजेस की क्वालिफिकेशन भी सेम होती है जो कि सुप्रीम कोर्ट की होती है. ठीक है, सिटीजन ऑफ इंडिया, 10 years held a judicial office and at least 10 years been an advocate in high court or 2 or more such courts in succession. ठीक है, so For the district and subordinate courts or lower judiciary in India, procedure for appointment is in Article 233. Please remember these articles I am saying again and again. Appointment of district judges in any state shall be made by governor of state in consultation with High Court exercising jurisdiction in relation to such state. Means if we need to appoint district judges in a particular state, then that has to be done by governor. ठीक है, High Court and Supreme Court President in consultation with the staff of the courts itself. But if you have to appoint a district judge, then that has to be done by the governor of the state in consultation with the staff or the senior judges of the High Court. Qualifications for appointment as district judge are member of judicial service of the state or any person who has had a minimum of 7 years of practice as a lawyer at bar. Okay, so judicial service of the state, he may be a judicial officer of the state and he may have spent 7 years of practice as a lawyer at bar, not at a court, at bar. Okay, bar is Bar Council of India. Despite current practice in appointment of judges, I think we will be doing it in the next lecture. Yeah, so this is all for today. Thank you.